So I wanted to just do a quick video in relation to how you start qualifying the budget that your prospect has for business that you want to do with them. The challenge we have as small business owners is that we can, if we're not careful, get really emotionally attached into conversations and discussions with a prospect, and actually they may not even be in the same ballpark as us when it comes to the money that they're going to spend on the service that we offer. So in this video, which I recorded a little while back, but I'm going to share with you in a bit of detail while we were able to be in an office environment and do some stuff on a whiteboard. I'm going to share with you some of the key questions and ways in which you can approach the budget question when it comes to this process of BANT, which is a really great methodology to save time as a small business owner. Have a look at the video, see what you think.
This is an area that's essential for us in sales to be able to get a better understanding of in order to really know whether our prospect is right for us and whether we're right for them. And there are some questions I think you need to be able to answer, which I'm going to share with you at the end of the video, that you can use to be able to probe this information successfully from your prospects. Point number one, it's really important we take great care in this particular area of the BANT process. The issue of budget is probably one of the most sensitive, if not the most sensitive, issue to discuss with a prospect. We've all been in situations where we've had a great meeting, a great rapport, we've understood they've got a real need, we understand they're the decision maker, and then it comes to the subject of money and everyone goes a bit, oh, this is difficult. So it's really important we take great care in this area and look to make sure we ask questions in the right way and ask the right type of questions. It's essential that our prospects don't see that money is our only concern. Sure, we have to as businesses be able to make money, but prospects never want to feel like they're being deceived, they never want to feel like they're being ripped off, and they never want to feel like they're overpaying for a service that actually they can get cheaper elsewhere. However, what they do understand in most cases is that good quality services do cost a good amount of money. And so what we can identify within the budget process and the questions that we ask is that we're keen to solve their need, keen to identify what's going on in their business and help them, but there's a cost to doing that. And budget and the questions we ask will enable us to do that exactly. One of the most important factors I say within the budget process within BANT is to consider it also around a range of budget. One of the things I say to people is this: you wouldn't expect to go into a Land Rover or Range Rover garage and expect to pay the price of a Range Rover that you pay for maybe a Hyundai or maybe a Kia car, for example. Great cars that those are. If I wanted a Kia Sportage or a Kia Sorento, I would expect to pay a different price to maybe a Range Rover Velar, for example, as a car, because the different brands and different areas work in a certain different way. And what it's really keen to ensure is that our prospects know that there's a range that they can fit within. It may well be the top end of the range or the bottom end of the range, but we need to make sure there is a right range for us to do business together. And knowing the range of budget is really, really key. The fourth point around this is also how we ask the question. They need to know we're being sincere, we're being empathetic of their situation, but we're also trying to be honest and open with them, rather than trying to look sleazy and just trying to make the subject and elements of money and budget a difficult one. Very few prospects are necessarily going to splurt out exactly what they've got to spend, but using the range type of approaches, then we certainly can be in a position where they can give us a sense of, yes, this is a prospect I can work with, even though we might need to show them a bit more value to be able to make them see that our price is worth paying. Is many prospects sometimes don't want to disclose anything when it comes related to figures. So they're concerned that the figure they give will automatically be the price that they get. And so many of them feel uncomfortable at being able to even discuss a budget figure with you. What that actually means deep down is that they have a distrust to you as a person or as a company. And it's essential that we get rid of that barrier of trust before we start to do anything else with the prospect. And so maybe respond with this as a question. In order not to waste yours or my time, I do need to see whether there could be a fit to work together from a budget perspective here. How can we solve this? By asking the prospect how we can solve it, you give them the chance to also be able to get involved in the conversation and be able to provide a solution as to how we move things forward. It may well be that they say, I'm prepared to give an indication of our budget, which gives us to where we want to be, but at least we start to understand where they're thinking about from a budget perspective. The reality is all 5 of these issues are really important when it comes to discussing the issue of budget within the BANT process. We've got to take care, we've got to show that money's not our only concern, we've got to show that we're in the right ballpark when it comes to money, we've got to be able to ask the question the right way, and we've got to be able to know how to respond if they don't want to answer these questions. And the reality is, if they don't want to do any of those aspects, we have to consider whether this is a lead we want to pursue and whether they meet the criteria we set. But now let's look at some of the budget questions we can ask in order to get the answers that we want to know whether this is a prospect that we can move further down our sales funnel. A great way to start this is a question such as this: how much is this problem costing you? What that enables us to do is to really put a value on the service or the issue that the prospect has. And it gets them to talk to us about how they feel about that particular area. If it's causing them a significant amount of pain, and what's the potential financial element to that pain? For example, it could well be that it's a service that's costing them X thousands of pounds per month to run, and therefore they would know that if they were to replace it, it would cost a similar amount. Another great question to ask them is this: tell me more about the budget you've set aside for this project. What you're asking them to do is to maybe not give you a specific figure, but to just share with you how they feel that the budget's been set aside for the project. You're asking them through the words "tell me more" to explain to you with more narrative rather than just a yes or no, a bit more about the budget, where it's been allocated. And what you're also looking to do at this point here is to confirm with them that a budget has been set aside for the project. If the answer you get back is there is no budget, we haven't set one aside, then we know that we've potentially got an issue to decide whether this is the right prospect for us. Or another great question to use is one such as this: our services typically range from X to Y. How does that fit in with your budget plans? Now, maybe the service you offer is maybe, I don't know, 10, 20, 50,000 pounds a month, whatever it is, and you range that as the lower range through to maybe a figure 3 or 4 times that figure. If the prospect responds with, yeah, that feels in line with what we're looking for, then you know you're in the right range to hopefully work with them and tick the box that they've got the budget set aside and that it feels right and the right type of figure to work with you. By asking that question, what you're then able to do is to find out what sort of budget range they're thinking of, and that can give us the answer sometimes that we at least then use to decide if we want to progress this lead and opportunity even further. So here are 3 questions that are certainly worth asking. Let's have a look at another 3 that I think you can use that can enable you to get an understanding of the budget plans your prospect has. So here are 3 other questions that you could look to use to identify the budget that your prospect's working with. So one of the questions that I would look to ask would be, what return do you look to achieve from the budget investments that you make? By that, we can look to understand a little bit more about the financial implications that the prospect's working with. And we can see, for example, that they might say, I'm looking for a 4 times return on my investment. And what that enables us to do is to then probe and ask more questions such as, great, can you tell me a little bit more about what you're currently spending? Or what currently is the budget for that area? Another great question that you can use is this: how have you purchased similar services to this before? What price did you pay and how did you go about making that decision? It may not be that this is the right question for you if they've not purchased similar type of services in the past, but many organisations traditionally go through quite a similar process when it comes to buying new or procuring new companies to work with. And so find out what they did previously. How did they go about actually purchasing that service? And maybe try and find out what the value was and what did they do to go and make that decision happen. Not only did this enable us to see the price range that they work with so that you know if they'll feel comfortable with your pricing, it also enables us to get a better understanding of how they go about making the decision, which can be really useful for us as salespeople in order to try and win the business. A final question that you may want to use as well here, and this relates to companies that work with procurement teams who are always focusing on getting the best price possible. So I always encourage the salespeople I work with to ask the questions such as this: how does your procurement team approach budget discussions? How do you ensure you don't end up buying cheap and buying twice? What that enables you to do is to sort of get to the understanding of who's really driving the decision and the budget process here. 27% of people will pay for a premium price or product or service if they know it's going to deliver what they want. And no one ever wants to be in a position where they buy something and it doesn't work, or they then have to basically try again or buy again. Deal with the issue of budget in the right way. Always ask the what, the how, the tell me more questions that can open up and see what the prospect's feeling. And if you do that, we can make sure this budget, this B of BANT, gets well looked after, and we know that we can be on the right path to getting sales success with this prospect.
So there you have it. That was my approach to how you can use BANT and the budget part of BANT to ask the right questions in the right way to get the right results for your small business. How did it work for you? Did it give you some insights into how you can ask those questions in the right way? Hopefully it does. Hopefully it's giving you some ways in which you can ask better questions to get the results that you want from a sales perspective. Let me know what works for you. Put it in the comment section below. I'd love to know what challenges and struggles you're facing as a small business owner that's really wanting to get better at selling, or if you're a salesperson and really want to get better at what you do, then put those in the comment section below. Let's find that out. And if you love the video, let's subscribe to the channel and make sure I can give you the resources and help you need and answers to common sales queries and questions that can get you the results that you want. Take it easy, guys. Have a great week.